Do open houses really work? Or is there a more sinister reason as to why realtors hold them? Stay tuned as I expose the truth about open houses and pray that my boss doesn't fire me. What's up, everybody? Tommy Mutchler here, your Pacific Northwest realtor, and open houses are fake news.
Fake news.
You see, back in the 80s, there was no Zillow, Realtor.com, anything like that to really view new listings. If you wanted to see what new houses were for sale, you had to go through a realtor, who at the time was the gatekeeper of the multiple listing services, which is this big old book of houses that are for sale. Now, this book was printed and updated about every 2 weeks, which means there was a 2-week delay before new houses would hit the market, which is just 2 weeks of not knowing what's out there. Now, because of this 2-week delay, clever entrepreneurs invented a revolutionary way to help sellers market and sell their house faster. Thus, the invention of the open house and for sale sign. You see, in the 80s, open houses were amazing for buyers and sellers because it allowed sellers to market their house before it hit the MLS and potentially get an offer while they waited. And consequently, buyers loved it too because it allowed them to see houses that no other buyers knew about, which reduced the risk of ending up in a bidding war, which was a win-win for everyone. However, it's important to note we're not living in the 80s anymore. I know, crazy. Society has completely changed over the last 30 years. And open houses don't work like they used to back in the 80s. With the invention of the internet, literally everyone and their mom can see a new house the second it hits the market thanks to the internet. Which is great because now you don't have to go to a realtor to see what houses are for sale. You can just look it up on your phone or smartwatch. Don't know why I'm holding up my wrist. I don't have a smartwatch. However, this also means buyers no longer have the advantage of seeing houses before they hit the market. And it doesn't really give any marketing benefits to sellers. If anything, it might actually hurt them. Now you might be thinking, that's not true. I held an open house and I got 30 people through and I got 3 offers. Which I'd say, no you didn't. You did not get those 3 offers from your open house. If anything, your open house prevented you from getting more offers. Let me explain. You see, there are 2 types of people that go to open houses. Nosy neighbors and unqualified looky-loos. Look, your neighbors are nosy and have no intention of buying your house. Despite the fact that it is, better, your house is much, much better than theirs. They're not interested in buying it. And everyone else that comes to your house that isn't your neighbor is either just bored on a Sunday afternoon and they drove by and saw an open house sign, or is out looking for home decoration ideas because you have such great taste, or they are buyers in the early house hunting stages where they don't even have a realtor yet, they haven't even gotten approved for a loan. These buyers are generally 6 to 12, sometimes even 18 months out, and have no intention of buying your house. Now, I don't know about you, but I personally don't want any strangers who are not interested in buying my house walking through my house. Now, yes, there are serious buyers who are pre-qualified and go to open houses. But these buyers already have a realtor and only came to your open house for convenience sake. In fact, if you didn't have an open house, they would have came and toured your house regardless. Think about it. If you saw a house that you really like, but there was no open house, would you pass on it? No, of course not. You would call your realtor up, or you'd click the schedule showing now button on whatever app you're using, right? You're not gonna pass up on a really freaking awesome house just because there's no open house. Oh, but Tom, you're just saying that because you're lazy and you don't want to actually do open houses because you're lazy. Not true. I actually love open houses. In fact, they're a great benefit to me, which I'll get into later because again, that's the sinister part, right? Now, if you still don't believe me, at least consider what the National Association of Realtors have to say. They state that 1% of home buyers purchase a home they saw at an open house. However, that statistic does not include whether or not that buyer would have seen that house, whether or not there was an open house. Meaning, it's likely that that 1% buyer would have seen that house regardless of whether or not there was an open house. Okay, cool. So, open houses were great back then, but they're dated now. Why don't they work now? Why do realtors still encourage them? 2 reasons. 1, it creates a false sense of positive activity in the house, which makes the seller think that the realtor is working extra hard marketing their house, when in reality, they're not. And number 2, the more important reason, is realtors use open houses to generate more business. Here's how. Do you remember who comes to open houses? Your nosy neighbors who are future sellers, and those buyers that are 6 to 12 months out. And guess who's there waiting for them at the door? Your realtor. Your realtor that's using your house to market his services to future buyers and future sellers, who also just so happensly, coincidentally, has a sign-in sheet where he can collect all their information. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. What's wrong with getting more business, right? We all need to make money to live. What's wrong with it is they're telling you that by holding an open house, it'll be easier to sell your house. When in reality, it's 1%. You have a 1% chance. That 1% buyer that probably would have seen your house anyway will actually help go towards marketing and selling your house. When in reality, they're holding the open house to generate more business for themselves. Still not on board? Why do you think other realtors will go to realtors with listings and say, hey, Mr. Realtor, I see you got a sweet new listing down on 123 Main Street. Could I possibly do an open house for you? Now, before you go off and fire your realtor, don't. Hear me out. Most realtors, I would say, aren't deceiving you. They aren't being sinister. They're not trying to lead you astray. While, yes, there are plenty of slimeball, sleazy realtors out there, I think most just don't realize that open houses don't sell houses, right? I don't think they're going out lying to you, saying we got to do an open house. You know, they get your house sold. You know, it's probably not true. You know, your house is probably not going to get sold by an open house. You know, and I think most realtors just don't have the data to back that up. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like button so I don't get fired. I'm probably gonna get fired for this, you know, for hating on other realtors. I'm not supposed to, but I did. Remember, my name's Tommy Mutchler, your Pacific Northwest realtor, and I'll see you in the next one. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight.